Good morning. Today we're going to begin Unit 9, which is solving quadratic equations. And in the past, we've taught students how to graph quadratic equations first, but you will do that in Algebra 2 as well. So we wanted to focus on just the solving for right now. So the first section, it does say solve, and a lot of things says solve by graphing, but we're going to give you the graph and ask you to identify the solution so you can start making connections there. So when you're solving a quadratic, okay, meaning an x squared function instead of just an x, what does it mean to be a solution? So the solutions of a quadratic equation are called the roots, which are the same thing as the x-intercepts or zeros when you look at the graph. So there are three cases when you're finding solutions for quadratic equations. The first one is when you have two solutions. And what we're looking at here is the points where the graph crosses the x-axis will be your solutions. So I want you to be really careful here. It crosses at -3 and x equals -1. So those are our two solutions. The second case is that where we're going to have just one point kind of touch the x-axis and then go back the other direction. In Algebra 2, we call that a bounce. And that would just be one real solution. And at that point, we have -1. And then if the graph never crosses the x-axis, you actually have no real solutions or two imaginary solutions. Or if we want to be really specific, we could say two complex solutions with imaginary parts. In Algebra 1, we are okay with you just saying no real solutions. In Algebra 2, you'll actually learn how to find the imaginary solutions, which sounds kind of crazy. How do you have an imaginary number? But it does come up, especially when you're talking about electricity. So, first example, the equations up here. In the next several sections, we'll talk about how to find those without graphing. But when you need to find your solutions here, the first problem, find your points where it crosses the x-axis and write those down. So this is at -2, and this is at 1, 2, 3, +3. So our solutions are x equals -2 and +3. For the second one, notice this graph never touches our x-axis. So this is one where there's no real solution. Okay, and then the last one, the graph hits at 1 point. Okay, so if I count, that's at -2, so x equals -2 would be our solution. That's all you're doing for this first lesson here. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out and ask, but go ahead and do the practice in your packet or on Empower and move on when you're ready. Have a great day.